Hi everyone, it's Carrie, aka Nerdy Girl Creates, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I wanted to talk about a topic that's been on my mind for a while, and it has to do with mainstream comics. Quick backstory about myself. I have been into superheroes since I was a kid, but I didn't start religiously reading comics until I was a teen in the 90s. And I continued on through the 2000s, but things started to taper off around 2016 and onward, and I found myself disenchanted with stories coming out of DC and Marvel. So I started to focus on indies, and if you follow my channel recently, I started to dive into manga. There's a reason for that. Growing up, I had characters like Wonder Woman who showed compassion and were always trying to bring out the good in people. You had characters like Superman who never lost faith in people. You had characters like the X-Men who, despite being hated by most of the world, was always willing to put themselves in the line of danger to save the same people. Nowadays, characters seem to be taking on a completely different characteristic, and it's not very appealing. So what do I mean? I'm going to use one character as an example. Some of you might be familiar with Riri Williams. She is the super genius in Marvel Comics who became Ironheart after stealing technology to build her own iron suit. This character had potential, but I quickly got turned off by her because of her attitude. She spent a lot of time as a kid, for example, pressuring her white teacher into convincing her that she would never achieve anything. Even though the teacher didn't believe that, she kept pressuring and pressuring until the teacher finally said, well, fine, you'll never be Tony Stark. She was also, dare I say the word, homophobic towards one of her teammates on the Young Avengers. Vision, who happens to be the daughter of Vision, had feelings for Riri, and when Riri found out about it, she was highly disgusted and wanted nothing to do with her. Later, she did come to terms with it and apologize, but there was more traits about this character that were unlikable than there were traits that were appealing. She's not the only character. I notice even some established characters, there has been this change into a more like snarky attitude, and it's disappointing. And I think the biggest example of that would be Captain Marvel. Now I remember Captain Marvel back when she was Miss Marvel, Carol Danvers, and also she had pretty decent stories. I remember reading about when she discovered her longtime boyfriend was murdered by Mystique, and Mystique had taken on the guise of her to trick him, and she was upset and devastated by that. I knew there was another story where she was dealing with some inner feelings and unfortunately was using alcohol to deal with that. Not that that makes a good story, but it showed that this character had weaknesses and she wanted to deal with it, but she wasn't going about it the right way. And it made her more human. Once they turned her into Captain Marvel, there was this snarky attitude again, this perspective that all men are problematic type attitude that I don't know why they pushed this. They changed her whole design. It wasn't visually appealing, and again, the attitude wasn't appealing. Even I took a peek at her recent comic where she's trying to gain all the power of magic because she wants to stop something that's happening in the future. The way she treats Doctor Strange, the way she treats Rhodey, so on. She was more a villain, dare I say, than a hero. They've also done the same thing recently with Hellcat. Now, if those who don't read comics, you might know Hellcat from the Jessica Jones TV show. And even in that, she was starting to become very unlikable to the point they made her a villain, even though, as far as I can remember, she was never a villain in the comics, at least not willingly. They have her dating Tony Stark, but she spends most of the issues lecturing him about his privilege and his how as a man he's in this and a that, and it's why can't we just focus on like a good development story and characteristics that appeal to people? Why are we so hell-bent on writing very unlikable characters? And the weird part is it seems to mostly be female characters. It's every time I feel like I open a comic, some female character's lecturing a guy or being snarky to teammates or other people, and it's just like, come on. Can we please at least try to make this likable? And it turns you off. And I see why people are drawn now to manga, especially after I've now delved into it. The characters there are completely different. They have like that old school feel about them where you have a character who's determined to do good and wants to prove to people that they can be the best person they can be. And it's not selfish. It's not got anything to do with arrogance or ego. It's just about doing it. For example, Demon Slayer, which I just recently reviewed. The main character is doing it to save his sister. In My Hero Academia, the lead character is doing it because he was inspired by another superhero and he wants to help people, despite the fact he doesn't have any superpowers. You know, this is what Spider-Man used to be. This is what, as I was saying earlier, Wonder Woman, compassion, even hoping to reach into the soul of a villain and find something good about them. We don't get that anymore. It's really sad, and I just wish that mainstream would see and listen to people's complaints instead of getting defensive and going to Twitter battle, because there's been a lot of that lately. And just kind of say, you know what, maybe there's something here. Maybe people really don't like where this is heading. Maybe we should do something different. But I feel instead they're like just committed to making characters that are no longer relatable. And yet they believe that's what they're doing. I mean, I can't relate to a girl who's telling off people all the time or just being plain nasty or puts men down because, men. It's you can do that so often. I mean, if it's like once in a while and the character grows from it, that's different, but I don't see any growth. I just see repetitiveness. And it's very disappointing. Hopefully, maybe whatever this trend is will finally die out and we'll start getting something interesting. It might have to be when the movies start not doing as well as they used to and they have to start relying more on story. I don't know. I think this is why there's one of the reasons why there's a large drop in sales in mainstream comics. Why everybody's rushing to Japanese manga. Why they're rushing to indie comics. I mean, why Indiegogo campaigns are blowing up. Even some Kickstarters. I mean, it's really sad, and I really want to see new characters, but when I open up a Superman comic and his son is now lecturing him about how he needs to do better, you're telling Superman to do better. Superman. Think about that. I mean, come on. So, tell me what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What are your thoughts? Write them down below in the comments section. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you on the next video. Bye.